Hey guys, it's Kimberly Jolly from the Fat Quarter Shop, and on today's Shortcut Quilt episode, we're going to be making the Layer Cake Checkmate. We thought it would be super awesome to show you how to make a manly quilt with Primitive Gatherings Flannels. It's nice and chunky and shows off all of those wonderful prints. So, go to Fat Quarter Shop, download the free pattern, and let me show you how to make this manly man quilt. To start, we're going to divide our two layer cakes into 24 light and 24 dark squares. Now we're going to cut each of our light squares into 4 5-inch squares. I'm going to cut 4 at a time. I basically just lined up all of my little jagged edges as close as possible. Since it's flannel, it really just sticks together and stays really nice. So I'm going to use my Matilda rotating mat. Just going to place the 5-inch line, cut, rotate, cut one more time, and I like to stack the 4 on top of each other just to save time. I'm all about saving time. So you're going to do that on all of your lights, and you're going to have a total of 96 fabric B squares. When you're working with flannel, you're going to notice that there is a side that does not stretch when you pull it and one side that does stretch. For a more accurate block, you're going to want to put your stretchy sides together and your non-stretchy sides together. We're going to be using a 1/4 inch seam allowance and a 2.2 stitch length or a 2.3. You want to go a little bit longer stitch length than normal just because it's flannel and you're going to have more bulk. You're going to stitch these two together and these two together. You're going to press towards the dark on each, and then you're going to sew this together. And you're going to have a beautiful 9 patch that measures 9.5 inches square, and you're going to make a total of 24. We're moving right along. Now we're going to take all of our dark layer cake squares and trim them down. Again, I'm going to stack 4 together, just like we did with the light. We're going to use the Creative Grids 9.5 inch square ruler. Just place it on top and trim all 4 sides. You're going to make a total of 24 9.5 inch dark squares. They're going to be your fabric A's. Now we're going to start our quilt rows. Each row will have 3 fabric A squares and 3 4 patches. When you're joining them together, you're still going to want to pay attention to the stretch. So you're going to want to put your non-stretchies together and your stretchies together. And that's going to give you really nice, clean look. We're going to make 8 rows. Now put your quilt together and you're just going to flip each of your rows for assembly. Your quilt center should measure 54.5 by 72.5. Now we're going to add our border. I'm going to give you some tips on cutting. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ruler and I'm going to put a line directly on my fold. That's going to give me the straight. Now I'm going to add a second ruler to it, pull this one away, and now I know that I'm straight, and I'm going to cut a strip. For your border, you need 8 6.5 by width of fabric strips. So I'm just going to keep cutting, and as I'm cutting, I am going to make sure that the bottom fold stays straight. If it gets wavy, you just want to cut, recut, start with a straight line, and keep going. So make 8 strips, and then we're going to join them. Now we're going to join our border strips on the diagonal. First, I'm going to make a straight cut on the edge to cut the salvage off. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place these right sides together. I'm gonna leave a little bit of an edge here so you can see where you're drawing to. I like to put lots of pins in just so this doesn't move, and it's going to give you a nice, beautiful diagonal seam. Lots of pins. And then since I've left a little gap, it's super easy to draw your line. I'm using a friction pin, and I'm going to go from corner to corner. I'm using a friction pin since it disappears with heat later. And now we're going to stitch on the machine from point to point. Now we're going to cut our border. I'm going to use the 1/4 inch line on my ruler and trim. And then I'm going to trim this little dog ear off. Now we're going to press. On my borders, I always press open. So first, I'm going to set my seam, get it nice and flat. Press to one side, and then I'm going to press open. And since this is flannel, you don't want to move your iron back and forth. You just want to gently press. And when you flip this back over, you're going to get a nice, pretty line, and you're going to have no excess here. You're going to join all 8 strips together, and then we're going to add our borders to our quilt center. Cut 2 side borders 6.5 by 72.5. Then cut your top and bottom borders 6.5 by 66.5. Attach your side borders and press. Attach your top and bottom borders and press. We hope you've loved this shortcut quilt. It's nice, quick, easy, and makes a nice snuggly quilt. Share your quilts with us on social media, and I'll see you next time.